Chapter 10:16, The Embryonic Form. The Tang sect had been established and its disciples received many cultivation resources as rewards from Ji and the magic swords Tang Xiu had refined since he didn't have any immortal swords to bestow them. Not to mention that Gu Yan had been seriously injured, so he personally placed the exquisite pagoda in the sea that was still covered by the island's protective array so she could stay there and recuperate in peace. As he returned to the assembly hall, Tang Xiu said with a deep voice, "And now, I'm announcing the establishment of 4 departments, which are also the traditional custom of developments used by orthodox monastic sections. These departments respectively are God Warfare Hall, Logistic Pavilion, Intelligence Edifice, and Assassination Hall. Mo Ao will be the hall master of the God Warfare Hall and will be in command of the army. This hall will be the biggest armed force of our Tang sect in the future and will absorb most of the recruited young blood to build a very strong army, as well as be responsible for opening up the territory in the future. Ji Qimei will hold the post of Logistic Pavilion's master and be in control of all the Tang sect's resources. I'll formulate the resource allocation form later, so you must provide a steady supply of cultivation resources to all the disciples of Tang sect and ensure enough resources needed by all the disciples' cultivation. Jin Shi will take responsibility as the master of Intelligence Edifice and be responsible for establishing the intelligence service. Within 2 years, you must establish a comprehensive intelligence network all over Earth. You are to coordinate with the God Warfare Hall to weaken and eradicate the current largest intelligence agency, the Dark Wind Organization. Tangan will serve as the master of Assassination Hall. You can pick 2 assistants from all the members of the sect to train a large number of competent assassins. We have thousands of seedlings and you're free to choose from them. I expect to see the results of their cultivation within 2 years. With the appointment of these 4 people, it meant that these 4 had become the top executives of the Tang sect, responsible to manage a large number of disciples in the sect as well as its respective privileges and rights. The reason why Tang Xiu selected these 4 was due to his understanding of them and to develop the design plan, according to their areas of expertise. Understood. The 4 people appeared in front of Tang Xiu under the numerous watchful eyes. Nodding at them with satisfaction, Tang Xiu took 4 command tokens he personally refined and handed one to each. Then, he said with a deep voice, "The Tang sect has just been established and only 4 divisions have been set up. But it's just temporary since you can expect that each department will be branched out in the future. I hope that you'll be devoted to your duty and forever be loyal to the Tang sect and me." Loyalty. 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 The 4 people clenched their right fists and placed them on their left chests. Nodding with satisfaction, Tang Xiu gestured for them to retreat. Then, he said with a deep voice, "You're all the earliest members of the Tang sect and will become the leaders of the sect in the future. I expect you to make huge merits and contributions, and I wish to see all of you growing stronger. The books I've written in the library pavilion are no many, but there should be more than 200 books there. Among them contains knowledge on refining, alchemy, arrays, beast taming, body cultivation as well as soul ones, etc. Apart from carrying out your duty, you must allocate your time to read and enlighten yourself in the library pavilion. I'll take many powerhouses in the sect with me to tear open the sky above our heads and leave for the immortal world in the future, a place 1,000,000,000 times vaster than Earth. We're all cultivators, and the path to immortality is the primary drive and foundation. However, I can't wait for you that long to fight the battle in the immortal world. Maybe a few years or a decade later, you can expect to see my final plan to be implemented. If you want to follow me to climb up to a higher plane, if you want to get to a more expansive stage, then your cultivation stage must reach the spirit formation stage. It's still very far away for you all, so I'll provide you the resources and opportunities. However, the final results, whether you can grasp it or not, will depend on your own efforts." At this moment, all the Tang sect's people were shocked. They never knew of Tang Xiu's final plan prior to this. They only knew that Tang Xiu had very mysterious and brilliant origins which would provide glorious achievements in the future should they follow him into the future. Yet, they never imagined that Tang Xiu's ultimate goal on Earth was to fight their way out to the immortal world. But what shocked them the most was that they also had the opportunity to follow Tang Xiu, to fight in the nigh impossible place that all the cultivators had been dreaming of ascending to. After a long while, each department had taken their positions and began assuming their duties. Every member of the Tang sect was very excited. They felt the pressure. Yet, it also served as a great motivation for them. It was because sect master Tang Xiu had been straightforward to them, and they also wished to follow him to rush into the immortal world, even though they were expected to advance to the spirit formation stage. Further, they had not much time left and the spirit formation stage was a long journey to achieve with their current cultivation. 2 days later, Tang Xiu was sitting cross-legged atop the palace roof in cultivation while facing the rising sun and absorbing the purple qi, coming eastward into his body. After such a long period of cultivation and constantly promoting his strength, he had reached the full closure of perfection for the first stage of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, the star tyrannical body. I must become stronger. Tang Xiu slowly opened his eyes, which were full of ambition to become stronger. Regardless of the era, the world, or plane, survival of the fittest was the absolute rule. Only the strong deserved respect and had the right to speak. The current him may look strong, but he was definitely not invincible. Tang Xiu was perfectly aware that there were still some fearsome characters residing on the earth, such as the nascent soul stage expert from the whole unitary sect he just learned of a while ago. Whoosh! 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 Several shadows flickered from the distance and appeared in the air in front of the palace in a few breaths. Mo An then walked step by step in the air until he came in front of Tang Xiu and respectfully reported. All the materials have been transported, Sect Master. Our people also found 2 ships near the 13th deserted island. However, the people on those 2 ships obviously are not from the same group and they had a brief clash, apparently to probe each other's strength. Are these 2 groups the first few who have recently appeared near the barren island and the surroundings? Asked Tang Xiu. If we don't count those 2 groups, we already got 6, so we now have 8 groups. Most of them have frictions but no mass fighting. Also, there's no one from the Celestial Wizard clan among them, said Mo An. Those Celestial Wizards are wanting to be the third party who profit from others' battle, so they are obviously in the back at the ready. Tang Xiu sneered. Nevertheless, Jing sure has hit them before and the Celestial Wizard clan suffered a lot, losing over 100 people. Added with the hitmen from the various assassin organizations taking the bounty to hit them, they can only become a turtle. What should be our next step then, Sect Master? Asked Mo An. Since we have transported all the material to the 9th deserted island, then we're going to set out, said Tang Xiu. I'll arrange that island to be the battlefield to fight the invading enemies. But there's another thing you need to do. I want all those children who have broken through the late stage of qi refining to be concentrated in one group. I'll carry out special training for them for a few days. Mo An nodded and asked, should those who have advanced to the foundation establishment stage be added apart from those who have advanced to the late stage of qi refining? Tang Xiu was stunned and asked with a dull face, what did you say? It's about those who are at the foundation establishment, replied Mo An. Sect Master is going to give special training to those children at the late stage qi refining, but we also have those at the foundation establishment stage. Would you like them to attend the special training too? You mean some children have advanced to the foundation establishment stage? Asked Tang Xiu in disbelief. How is this possible? How can they break through to that stage in such a short time? I was very surprised as well, Sect Master. Mo Au smiled and said, but that's the fact, and we have 9 of them. The best one among them has even advanced to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. Tang Xiu got up all of a sudden and asked in a deep voice, what's his name? 28, answered Mo An. What do you mean, 28? Tang Xiu furrowed his brows. His name is 28, Sect Master. Mo Og grinned wryly said, when Banzhou brought him over, the others called him Little Beggar, Little Wild Boy, etc. But he said his name is 28. I had no idea why he gave himself that name. Where's he now? Asked Tang Xiu. He's in the training camp, said Mo On. Also, he has rarely participated in group training due to his particularity and spends most of his time cultivating alone, in his room. Gather the other 8 who have advanced to the foundation established in one group for my special training. Tang Xiu ordered in a deep voice. And immediately summoned this 28 to see me. Mo Ah took the order and immediately bolted to the training camp. When Tang Xiu appeared on the airfield on the island, Mo An brought a thin 7-odd-years-old boy lightning fast. He's 28, Sect Master. Tang Xiu observed the thin boy in front of him and was able to determine that he indeed had advanced to the mid-stage of Foundation establishment, from his aura. To his disbelief, the boy's aura was very stable and had stabilized his cultivation stage. You're 28? The thin boy looked much more mature than his peers. His gesture and body language even similar to the adults. He cupped his right fist and placed it on his left chest, replying, I'm 28, boss. Squinting his eyes, Tang Xiu spent another minute observing him before nodding. You're great. The first to advance to the mid-stage of Foundation establishment and make yourself stand out among the tens of thousands of people. That's far beyond my expectations. But I have a question for you. Why did you give yourself 28 as a name? It's been 3 years since I was 4 until 7, and I now have saved a total of 28 yuan, although I barely had enough to eat and wear warm clothes. If I could have saved 28 yuan when I was 4, my grandma and sister wouldn't have starved to death then. So, my name is 28. I want to remember this number forever. Tang Xiu silently nodded and then said, Gimme your left hand. Chapter 10:17, The Shadows. After half a minute, Tang Xiu had checked his pulse and made clear of 28's physical state. But he was still puzzled since he couldn't find anything particular that made this boy marvelous even though he had an excellent physique. Yet, this boy had literally jumped from a precarious child to a cultivator at the mid-stage of Foundation establishment. All things considered, his advancement speed was too fast. Tell me, is there something special about your daily practice? Nothing, said 28. I just follow the cultivation methods taught by the instructors and keep circulating my true essence in my body every day. I have no idea why my cultivation is faster than everyone else. Just that? Tang Xiu felt more bizarre inwardly. Tang Xiu shook his head secretly. Just as he was about to speak again, his complexion shifted and a look of disbelief covered his eyes as he hurriedly asked, You just said that you've been constantly circulating true essence in your body every day? You haven't ceased doing it once? Yeah. Isn't cultivation carried out like this? 28 nodded. Tang Xiu grabbed 28's wrist once again. He used his spiritual sense to seep into his body and ultimately discovered this boy's particularity. His meridians were very wide, but the most shocking thing was that 28's meridians were somewhat abnormal compared to average people. His meridians' walls were very tough and elastic, while there were also microscopic blood spots on its surface. Isn't this sanguine meridians? He actually has sanguine meridians. The discovery made Tang Xiu speechless for a long while. Back when in the Immortal world, he once read the records from a secret ancient collection. It was said that there had been a peerless genius with sanguine meridian physique in the Immortal world hundreds of thousands of years ago. This genius only spent a little over 2 millenniums to reach the perfected golden immortal stage. Unfortunately, he died halfway and met his demise under the hands of a certain supreme. Otherwise, he would have advanced to the supremacy stage in just another millennium given his potential. That secret record even stated that if this peerless genius didn't die prematurely, he was the most promising one to ascend to divinity at that time. And yet, another cultivation genius with the Sanguine Meridian's physique was present before him? What was more incredible was, why did he appear on Earth? Boss, 28 couldn't understand why Tang Xiu kept holding his wrist. However, he didn't feel any malice from Tang Xiu either. Ever since he was found in the rubbish heap a year ago and then sent to Shanghai, he saw Tang Xiu the boss there. Yet, he couldn't figure out why Tang Xiu wanted to adopt him and so many other children. Tang Xiu was the one who provided him the daily necessities he needed. And the most important thing was that he also sent people to teach them a cultivation art, the very reason why he had formidable power now. It was that the reason why those children regarded Tang Xiu as their boss on the surface, yet saw him as their relative, the closest one, a similar feeling he also had. Just like the other children, he was willing to be loyal to Tang Xiu just to pay him back for everything. Tang Xiu raised his hand to interrupt the boy. After loosening his hand, he asked seriously, 28, would you like me to give you a family name? A family name? For me? 28's eyes lit up as he nodded and said, I'd like to have it. If so, then your name is Tang 28 from now on, said Tang Xiu. Joy and excitement set ablaze in 28's heart. He knew that the boss had bestowed his surname to some children among all the children he had been training with. Just like those 5 who were named after the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They were separately called Tang Jin, Tang Mu, Tang Shui, Tang Hua, and Tang Tuesday. He also had the same surname as boss, which was Tang. Yeah, then, I'll bear the name Tang 28. With a satisfied face, Tang Xiu nodded. Tang 28, do you want to stand out among others, like having higher cultivation and more powerful strength in the future? I think so. Only by becoming stronger can I have enough food, a place to live, clothes to wear. I can also protect you, boss, said Tang 28 aloud. A smile crept up on Tang Xiu's face while secretly admiring the brainwashing methods of those instructors. It had been just a year, yet these children had engraved his figure in their hearts. All right, Tang 28. From henceforth, you'll leave the training camp and become the shadow of Tang Xiu. I'll give you the authority to pick 4 partners from the training camp to be in your team. They must be ready to be dispatched at any time for assignments. Go now. I want you to bring your chosen companions in a few days. You all are to stay here and wait for my return. Tang 28 firmly nodded and said, I'll be waiting for you with the others, boss. Remember to not call me boss again. Call me sect master from now on, said Tang Xiu. I'll send someone to record your name in the Tang sect's registry record as you're now the new disciple of Tang sect. Tang sect? Secretly, Tang 28 silently engraved this name in his heart after nodding. Shortly after, 2 helicopters' roars were heard as they flew toward the 9th deserted island. After an hour-plus flight, they landed on the 9th deserted island. A few people had been stationed there. The number was but a few, just a little over 20 people. Whoosh. 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 Figures flickered and emerged out from the helicopter's cabin lightning fast and landed on the 9th deserted island. Among those in the group who had long been waiting were old Angie and Chen Yan, and most of them were the former dangerous convicts Tang Xiu, rescued from the 1319 labor camp. Few of them were former members of the Everlasting Feast Hall. Boss. A chilling aura emanated from the men standing in an orderly formation. As the men saw Tang Xiu's arrival, they loudly shouted, greeting him with a frenetic excitement. Looking at these people stand in a neat row before him, Tang Xiu felt satisfied inwardly. Especially towards the nearly 20 heavy criminals he had rescued from the 1319 labor camp. They looked like they had just been reborn and lost their former brash and sloppy personality. The auras emanating from their bodies gave off the vibe of an iron-blooded warrior. Have you been well, everyone? Tang Xiu looked at them and finally nodded. It's been several months, but you guys truly surprised me. Each of you now has the threshold of becoming a cultivator with experts at the chi refining stage. Tell me, do you regret your choice? No regret. More than 20 people replied in unison. Great. Tang Xiu nodded and said, since you don't regret it, then I hope you won't regret what you are about to face next. We'll soon be facing other powerhouses of the world's major forces, many of whom are the experts among the experts. Some even comparable to the Golden Core stage experts. But all of you will participate in this fight. Now I ask you, are you afraid of them? Never. The group shouted again. Good. Tang Xiu nodded. Since you're not afraid, then take your time to practice and be prepared for battle. Any of you who scores great merits in the upcoming battle can join the Tang sect when you've advanced to the foundation establishment stage. I think you've heard the name of Tang sect in the last 2 days, right? That's great. I've heard about it. It's an opportunity. More than 20 people looked surprised and happy with burning eyes filled with battle spirit. Becoming a disciple of the Tang sect was a must for them to be stronger and go further. It was an issue they had figured out in these 2 days. As long as they became Tang sect's disciples, they would be able to get more cultivation resources and study more advanced cultivation art manuals to master more abilities. All in all, it was an opportunity that would make them like carps that leaped through the dragon gate. As long as they earned great merits and advanced to the foundation establishment stage, it was equal to moving towards their own success. All right, everyone. I still have things to do. Go to tend to your own, concluded Tang Xiu. Shortly after, Tang Xiu spent a lot of materials to arrange the array that covered the whole 9th deserted island. Besides the island's protective array, he even laid out the illusion array that would make anyone who broke the protective array to bump into an illusion and enter the illusory world. The 9th Dragon Island was planned to be a substitute for 9 Dragons Island. It was set to be exposed as the vault of the rumored treasures for the major forces who were searching for it, and would also serve as the main battlefield. After arranging the array, Tang Xiu didn't hurry to leave but sent orders to dispatch a large number of peripheral members to participate in the upcoming battle. What date is today, On? Asked Tang Xiu suddenly as he stood on the coastline of the 9th island. It's September 4th, Sect Master, replied Mo On. September 4th? Tang Xiu was stunned and looked dull as a wry smile appeared on his face. It was the date the Shanghai University began schooling. Just like his first year, he also skipped classes on the first day of his sophomore year now. Hey, I must go back as soon as possible. Tang Xiu then recalled the Violet Fairy in his interspatial ring and the thought led to Han Qinggu. He had been thinking to use this Violet Fairy to confirm something with her, which the result was something he was very concerned about. Whoosh! A shadow flashed from the distant sea and stood in front of Tang Xiu and Mo On in a flash. It was Spectre. I got a situation to report, boss. What is it? Asked Tang Xiu. There has been a liner sailing around the nearby waters recently, but what made us surprised is that there's no passenger on it on the outside, said Spectre. Then, I sneaked inside. I only found a dozen crew members inside. I also asked the crew members, but they said that there's only one passenger on the liner who chartered the ship to sail here. But the strange thing is that we didn't find any of her traces when looked for her. You didn't ask who she is? Tang Xiu frowned. I only know that the person is a woman around her 20s. Spectre forced a smile and said, she is said to wear black robes and a mask, so the crew members don't know what she looks like. Ah, that's right. They said she's good at music since they heard her playing several instruments while they were sailing on the sea. The music she played was very pleasant to hear, they say. Skilled in music? Tang Xiu's face slightly changed and he suddenly recalled the incident that happened in Bangkok when they fought the Death Dhyana Buddhist master. An expert who was proficient in music appeared in the dark and yet didn't show up. He also sent some men to find her, but couldn't find her traces. Could it be the mysterious woman in that liner is the same person who helped out in Bangkok? If not, who else could the mysterious figure be? But if she's the same person, who exactly is she? Why would she always come and go like a shadow and stalk me wherever I go? Where is this liner now? Asked Tang Xiu with a deep voice. It's about 100 nautical miles from this island, said Spectre. However, the ship has been sailing around in the nearby waters without a fixed destination. I reckon that it's time for it to sail back. Take me to the last spot you found that ship, said Tang Xiu with a deep voice. I really want to know who this mysterious stalker is. Chapter 1018, Brave Women. Friendly wind blew amid the blue sea under the beautiful sun of the blue sky. A black helicopter equipped with state-of-the-art military equipment flew northeastward of the 9th deserted island like a goshawk overlooking the sea surface. Inside the cabin, Tang Xiu held binoculars to observe the sea underneath, looking for the liner that drifted alone in the nearby waters. When the helicopter was about to run out of fuel a few hours later and he couldn't find the traces of the liner, he had no choice but to return to the 9th deserted island. Forget it. Although Tang Xiu was curious about this mysterious person who was proficient in music, he faintly had a hunch that the other party was friendly and not an enemy. That person wouldn't have helped him otherwise back in Bangkok. After he put this issue to the back of his mind, he went back to deal with the current concern, the situation on the 9th deserted island. It was because he had issued an order to station 2 men on other islands in the surrounding to observe the nearby waters in secret, and the others to leave the 9th deserted island. Hence, a liner then came from other places to transport his men. Cut some trees and build some houses. Make it look like a base as soon as possible. After issuing this order, Tang Xiu handed the command to Mo, Jin Shi, Tang An, and Ji Qimei who had caught up. With the super-powerful Ji Qimei at the helm, latent dangers could be said to not exist even if the enemy consisted of a large number of nascent soul stage experts. Only then did Tang Xiu feel more relieved and assured. Half a day later, Tang Xiu returned to Nine Dragons Island. Just as the helicopter landed, he saw Tang 28 and 4 other boys sitting cross-legged on the shore. Each of them seemed to be 8 years of age. Aside from Tang 28, the other 4 looked dignified and strong. It was rather obvious that they were excellent seedlings. Grand Master. Upon seeing Tang Xiu's arrival, Gu Xiaoxue came forward and asked, "What are your plans next, Grand Master? Are you leaving Nine Dragons Island, or commanding the battle on the 9th deserted island?" Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "From the current situation analysis, the world's major forces shouldn't be coming here, so our men won't have a clash with them in a short period of time. I'm going back to the mainland since it's September and Shanghai University has begun schooling. I need to report to the campus. Also, there's something I need to verify." Gu Xiaoxue nodded and said, "Ms. Zhang also wants to go back to China, Grand Master. Would you like to take her back together?"
Yeah.
"She'll go back with me." Tang Xiu nodded and said, "She's a modern person, after all, and she must keep living her current life. When she can understand our world and customs thoroughly, I'll bring her back to Nine Dragons Island. Also, only tell Yen after she's finished recuperating from injuries. I won't tell her that I'm leaving now since she's in seclusion." "I'll pass your message to Master," replied Gu Xiaoxue. "Also, what about Mo and Jin Shi, Grand Master? You assigned them to stand guard on the 9th deserted island, so who will go back with you? Someone needs to follow you. It's fine now this time." Tang Xiu shook his head and smilingly said, "I'm going back with Tang 28 and his 4 companions. They can take care of some trivial things for me." Gu Xiaoxue, however, hesitated and said, "I know their strength is good since they are at the foundation establishment stage. But they are too young and there are a lot of things inconvenient for them to do. Do you want to bring one more man?" "No need." Tang Xiu shook his head. Shortly after, Tang Xiu visited the training ground in the southeast area. 842 children who had broken through to the mid-stage of qi refining, and 128 more at the late stage of qi refining had been concentrated here, all sitting cross-legged on the big training ground and silently cultivating. There were also 2 boys and girls, members of child soldiers, who had broken through to the early stage of foundation establishment. They were sitting on 4 square stone platforms 2 meters in width and half a meter high. Cease cultivating. Everyone, stand up. Wearing a black uniform, the cold-looking wolfhead immediately shouted upon seeing Tang Xiu's arrival. His voice was like a mighty bell that spread over the entire training ground. 974 child soldiers who were grouped in this place opened their eyes in that instant, getting up and standing straight as their eyes trained at Tang Xiu. Boss. They had all seen Tang Xiu, and each of them even had his photo, the master whom they must pledge their loyalty for life to. Tang Xiu glanced at them as he nodded with satisfaction and spoke aloud. You all should have heard that the Tang sect has been officially established. The sect's rules will be more perfect. Those of you who have been brought to Nine Dragons Island yet haven't had the opportunity to join the sect don't need to worry. All the children here will become the official juniors of the Tang sect. You're all good children and you also have a good aptitude for cultivation. You'll become the pillars of the Tang sect in the future. But if you want to pass the test and succeed in becoming a member of the Tang sect, then prove your worth. You can prove yourself by 2 means. First is performing your duty. The bigger your merit, the more likely you'll join the Tang sect in the future. Secondly, your cultivation must advance to the golden core stage. Disciples needed by the Tang sect are those powerful experts. We don't need garbage. You can stand out from the tens of thousands of children soldiers, yet the weakest among you have broken through the mid-stage of qi refining. That means you're all worthy to be fostered and trained. I'll give you special training for the next 3 days, and you can expect to face bitter, tiresome, and dangers in this training. Endure it and face it bravely for me. At this moment, Tang Xiu exposed his cold and ruthless side because he was perfectly clear that these children could go all out and devote themselves to cultivation, if they were under pressure. It was the only way for them to have a better chance to survive when they must risk their lives in life and death battles in the future. The first day. Tang Xiu had the illusion array arranged in the training ground. He only arranged a very weak array due to the weak cultivation stage of these children. But as long as they didn't take the illusion array lightly and were able to fully unleash their mid-stage qi refining power, they could survive inside the array. Illusions, in and of itself, could make people lost, yet it could also temper their hearts and mentality. The 979 children, including Tang 28, must face endless streams of enemies which were weaker than them yet many in number. Furthermore, Tang Xiu also set up this illusion to create enemies as children of their age in order to adapt them to fighting. However, their opponent would be getting older and they must eventually face big and burly men. An hour passed was another round of fighting, and they could restore their strength by taking a pill. For 12 hours, the 979 children all experienced 12 rounds of fighting with over 200 opponents for each round. Tang Xiu told the children that they would fight alone, yet he still controlled the entire illusion array in the back. Whenever any of them faced death, he would secretly let them off. It was all to gradually enrich their combat experience. The second day. Tang Xiu took all of the children out of Nine Dragons Island and dived down to endure the pressure of the sea. Further, he also made a rigid rule for the children to dive very deep, nearly at the limit they could manage. The third day. Alone facing 979 children, Tang Xiu let them employ various tactics to face him, be it besiegement, individual combat, or ganging up, all the while instructing combat skills. He even taught them how to use magic spells in battle. He crushed them all constantly to make them benefit from the fight and continued making rapid progress. The fourth day. Tang Su taught them the method to train their spiritual sense and reviewed the training results of the last few days, so they could learn from the experience. He went as far as answering every issue they couldn't understand carefully while at the same time, generously taking out a massive amount of pills whenever resources for cultivation were insufficient. Ultimately, he told the children to write all the harvests they obtained for the last few days and share them with their peers. Ultimately, all the children progressed rapidly after 4 days of special training, with 36 children advancing to the late stage from the mid-stage of qi refining and 5 children breaking through to the early stage of foundation establishment. Tang Xiu believed that these days of special training would make the children have continuous breakthroughs in a short time, with some of them very likely advancing 1 or 2 stages. On September 10th, Tang Xiu brought Zhang Xinya, Tang 28 and his 4 team members back to China. Just as they exited Shanghai airport, Zhang Xinya looked a bit excited and Tang Xiu could sense it despite the big sunglasses and the mask she wore. "Well, we're back. Let's live our daily lives well, shall we?" said Tang Xiu with a smile while holding her hand. Nodding in response, Zhang Xinya looked like she recalled something and glanced around like she was looking for something. Shortly after, her eyes were locked on a female who dressed up just like her with sunglasses, mask, and duckbill cap. "Hey, over here." She waved her hand and loosened Tang Xiu's hand, striding toward the girl as the latter approached. After hugging her, she smiled and said, "I told you not to pick me up, didn't I? Hey, you didn't even listen to me, girl." Seeing the scene of Tang Xiu holding hands with Zhang Xinya gave Zhang Xinyue a complicated feeling, though she still tried hard to hide it. Putting on a calm face, she smiled back and said, "You're finally back from abroad, so of course I must fetch you up, big sis. Anyways, that brother-in-law of mine didn't bully you all these days, right?" Brother-in-law? Zhang Xinya's smiling face receded a bit. She turned her head to look at Tang Xiu and suddenly whispered, "You're not allowed to call Tang Xiu brother-in-law ever again, Xinyue." "Come again?" Zhang Xinya was stunned and looked a bit at a loss. "I already know what happened between you two, so you don't have to explain anything to me," whispered Zhang Xinya again. "Tang Xiu has already told me everything about it. But let's save the talk for after we get back, okay? If anything, it's fine if you call him Tang Xiu directly." Zhang Xinyue's mouth opened but was at a loss to say anything. Inwardly, she felt a bit angry toward Tang Xiu as to why he must tell her big sister about the things that happened between them. It made her at a loss as she didn't know how to face her older sister. Zhang Xinya herself was aware of how Zhang Xinyue felt at this time. In fact, telling her sister about this matter in advance was because she wanted to find an opportunity to let her understand some issues. Likewise, she had long predicted that Zhang Xinyue would react like this. Chapter 1019, Back to Shanghai. With his particularly sharp hearing, Tang Xiu could naturally hear Zhang Xinya and Zhang Xinyue's dialogue. Regardless, he was really at wit's end of how to face these nearly identical twin sisters. Especially towards Zhang Xinyue, since things had happened and gotten to this point. Regardless of how big her heart was, he could tell that it was nearly impossible for her to just brush the matter away. "Let's go, guys." Having no solution as to how to deal with it, Tang Xiu didn't bother to think about the issue any longer. He believed that it would eventually sort itself out. He believed that Zhang Xinya had her own plan since she had notified Zhang Xinyue in advance to pick her up at the airport. The Toyota Urfa was a spacious car. Though it only had a few seats, it was enough to accommodate Tang Xiu, Zhang Xinya, and Tang 28's group of 5. Zhang Xinyue served as its driver and took everyone to the Blue Star Villa complex. "Are you guys going to stop by?" asked Tang Xiu after he and Tang 28's team got off, looking at the Zhang sisters. "We're not stopping by." Zhang Xinya shook her head and smilingly said, "Just take the little guys and rest earlier. We'll come here later if we have time." "All right then," replied Tang Xiu as he watched them leave. Afterward, he immediately turned to look at the villa's front door. He finally felt relaxed after having been away from home for so long. Things always piling up and kept him so busy and strained his mind all these days. Little guys, you can pick any of the guest rooms on the first floor. Tang Xiu gave them an order before heading to the second floor alone. The two housekeepers were not at home, so he went straight to the bathroom on the second floor, took a shower, changed his clothes, and then went to the study. Just as he was about to take a seat, he heard familiar voices from the outside the window. The brown sauce spare ribs cooked by Auntie is definitely a must, Xiaowan. I'm sure you won't be able to forget it after you taste it. But Auntie can't cook the crabs that well though, especially with this recipe. I don't think I can do better than the ones prepared by those seafood restaurants. Well, I think I'll need you to cook it yourself. No worries, Auntie. Just steam the crabs and I'll prepare the ingredients and seasonings. That's great. While standing at the window, Tang Xiu never thought that the two women who just came back with shopping bags turned out to be his mother, Su Lingyun, and his adopted sister, Chen Xiaowan. Just as he was about to call them, he saw Tang 28's group of 5 children rush out of the villa, stopping them with cold faces and daggers in their hands. Who are you guys? Su Lingyun and Chen Xiaowan were completely dumbfounded. They just left home shortly, but how come the house had so many children all of a sudden? More so that these children looked so savage with boiling murderous intent, just like some small devil spawns. 28. Tang Xiu's figure flashed and appeared outside the villa's door in just a blink. A smile appeared on his face as he said, "The 5 of you, keep in mind that they are my family members and the ones who you need to protect in the future. Put your weapons away." Tang 28's group of 5 put away their daggers instantly. Excitement instantly suffused Su Lingyun's face after seeing Tang Xiu. She cast away all her confusion and strode towards him, observing him from head to toe for a while, and then said concernedly, "Just where did you go this summer vacation, Sonny? Look at you, you're a lot tanned and thinner than before. You definitely had a bad diet, didn't you? Why didn't you take care of yourself well, huh?" I was kinda busy with things abroad, Mom. That's why I just returned to China. Anyhow, how did you come to Shanghai, though? And where's Dad? Replied Tang Xiu with a beaming face. Your dad went to the capital. He's busy preparing for your grandpa's 80th birthday in advance, though it's still a week later, said Su Lingyun with a smile. Anyhow, I thought you've all started your new semester, so you didn't go back to Star City. I was worried that you had gotten into some kind of accident, so I came here. But fortunately, that girl Kong Xia told me that you were busy with things abroad, so I didn't call you and just stayed here to wait for you to come back. Well, you could have just given me a call, Mom, replied Tang Xiu smilingly. Who said I didn't call you, kid? Su Lingyang snappily said, I called you dozens of times these days, and not once could I get it through. I just guessed that you got a bad signal abroad. Only then did Tang Xiu remember that he had been training the children soldiers before going back to the homeland without stopping by anywhere. He forgot that his cell phone had run out of battery and he didn't even bother to charge it. After shaking his head, he then looked at Chen Xiaowan and smilingly said, Well, it's been just a few months, but you look much more beautiful now, Sis Xiaowan. Chen Xiaowan chuckled and tenderly replied, You got a sweet mouth now, boy. Just wait for a bit, Big Sis will steam the crabs for you. Tang Xiu nodded in response and smilingly introduced. Mom, Sis Xiaowan, this is Tang 28. He and the other 4 are orphans adopted by me a year ago, and I brought them back with me this time. They didn't know who you both were previously, so... Well, please don't mind it. An understanding look crossed Su Lingyun's face upon hearing his words, yet she still scolded him with a bit of a blaming tone. Don't you see that they're still children, Xiu? Why did you let them carry a dangerous thing like those daggers? What if they accidentally hurt themselves, huh? You don't need to worry about it, Mom. They are all quite powerful cultivators, replied Tang Xiu with a smile. They won't hurt themselves and such accidents won't happen to them. Anyhow, I just came back and am going to campus after the meal though. It's September 10th today and I haven't reported to the school yet. Su Lingyun gave a quick nod and said, "You're indeed a few days late, kid. You're always too busy, but you can't ruin your studies, alright? Anyways, Mom will cook something for you now. You can go to your campus after the meal. And do remember to apologize to your professors." "Alright." Tang Xiu nodded with a smile. As Su Lingyun and Chen Xiaowan entered the villa and went straight to the kitchen to cook, Tang Xiu said to Tang 28's group of 5, "Remember not to easily reveal your daggers and offend people randomly from now on, got it? Also, Tang 28, you're going to follow me in the future, while the 4 of you will stay here to watch the house. Keep in mind that you're all cultivators and you're not allowed to show your strength in front of common people." "Understood." Tang 28's team of 5 hurriedly complied. During mealtime, Su Lingyun and Chen Xiaowan repeatedly asked Tang 28's group to have a meal together, but the latter kept stubbornly refusing them. Even until the former gave them the dishes, they just carried their meals to their rooms and ate there. Certainly, Tang Xiu got another round of reprimands from Su Lingyun and Chen Xiaowan because of it. To skip around the predicament, Tang Xiu still used the sacred word of custom and rules, and hurriedly left for Shanghai University after having a rushed meal. Just as he arrived at the campus gate, however, he saw some luxurious supercars vrooming and stopped near the campus gate with some arrogant young masters in gaudy fashions, leaning on the cars, pointing and commenting on the girls who came in and out of the campus. "Hey, these silk pants keep spawning wherever and whenever." Tang Xiu shook his head and walked straight to the campus gate as troublesome things bumped into him. "Mind helping me and lend me your cell phone for a second, handsome?" Several girls donning infamous brand attire and apparent makeup blocked Tang Xiu's path. The leader of the girls acted even bolder by grabbing his hands. "You're all bells, yet you're striking up a chat by calling me handsome?" Tang Xiu forced a wry smile. "Asking some guy's cell phone number is a bit of an outdated trick, no? Got no other way, handsome." The girl laughed and said, "A beau suddenly came into our sight and made us excited, so no time to think about any new ideas to strike. Just give us your cell number, handsome. If you got some spare time, we want you to have a meal with us." "I already have a girlfriend, so no thanks," refused Tang Xiu smilingly. The girl was stunned and looked somewhat disappointed. "That's fine either way, though. You got a girlfriend or not, for couples to break up is just normal nowadays, right? No walls can last forever and no boyfriend can't be snatched in this world. Besides, you're not married yet. It's not like it's immoral to pursue the man we like, no?" This time, Tang Xiu was utterly dumbfounded and couldn't help laughing. He just didn't expect that the girls nowadays would be this bold and so thick-skinned. He recalled the time when he was in mid-school when boys and girls didn't have many contacts. Even when he was in elementary school, there was a demarcation line between the desks for male and female students. Shortly after, Tang Xiu gave them a fake cell number and then took his out-of-battery cell phone out to show them, earning himself a smooth escape at the exchange of their dissatisfied expressions. As he came to the dorm, he was quite surprised to see nobody there. No trace of Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong. But there should be no class at this time, so they shouldn't be grabbing a bite either even if they went out. Shoot! Here comes the rare guest. When Tang Xiu pushed the unlocked dorm's door facing his and went inside, Zhao Liang, who was listening to songs with earphones, suddenly had his eyes lit up. He grinned widely and removed the earphones. "I'm just a few days late to report to campus. No need to make a fuss over it, no?" Tang Xiu grinned back and said, "Anyways, where are you Kai and the rest? I just went to my dorm and none of them were there." "You got no idea, don't you big bro, Tang?" Zhao Liang grinningly replied, "That bastard Yu Kai and the others got nothing to do and just ran to the girls' sorority house. I heard that they are helping Hu Qingsong to pursue a first-year girl. I guess they must be going to that girl's dorm now."
Ah.
So old who has his hormones in heat now? Asked Tang Xiu grinningly. It's not just him, so is Yu Kai. Speaking of it, we got tons of belles among the freshmen this year. Some of them are damn top chicks. They may not compare to the campus belles, but damn, they are not that far off either. Cut the crap, will you? Anyways, I'm going out to find them, said Tang Xiu with a grin. Zhao Liang hurriedly stopped Tang Xiu and let out a strange smirk. No way. You can't go out, big bro, Tang. Otherwise? Huh? Otherwise what? Tang Xiu was confused. Otherwise things will go south for old Hu. Zhao Liang laughed and said, your charm index has kinda broken the roof of our campus, you see. You're at the top of the campus beau list now. With you going out, old Hu and the rest won't catch the girls they have a crush on, and it will be you who'll get some peach blossoms yet again instead. Cough, cough. No matter how reluctant Tang Xiu was to admit it, he was well aware that he was a bit of a flower admirer. Regardless, he already had many women now and didn't want to court other women anymore, be it intentionally or unintentionally. 10:20 Final confrontation. Despite being mentally mature, such a pure friendship between classmates without mixed interests and intrigues was something Tang Xiu enjoyed a lot during his schooling in the university. After borrowing a battery charger from Zhao Liang and charged his cell phone, Tang Xiu dialed Yu Kai's number and learned that they were in the girls' dormitory building now. Aside from letting out a forced smile, he had no idea what kind of emotion he should use to voice his feelings. Men were bound by their desires for food and sex. The words of the ancient truly had its own truth. Men in heat couldn't control their male hormones regardless of everything. Speaking about it, finding a girlfriend was indeed a good and reasonable choice. At least they wouldn't have to bother 5 girls more, but they could harmonize the yin-yang elements inside them, which were conducive to their physical and mental health. Anyway, I need to deal with something first, Zhao Liang. I'll head straight to the classroom in the afternoon later. Tang Xiu unplugged the cell phone charger and went out even though his cell phone's battery was less than 10% charged. Where are you going to, big bro, Tang, called out Zhao Liang. I'm gonna go find Teacher Han, answered Tang Xiu. Zhao Liang left his dorm, leaned against the door and grinningly said, well, you're asking for luck, you know. Teacher Han returned to the campus a few days ago, but it's obvious that she's kinda in a foul mood. Be careful not to annoy her, lest she packs you up, got it? Staring blankly for a moment, Tang Xiu furrowed his brows and asked, you said that Teacher Han just returned to campus a few days ago? So to say, she wasn't here before school started? Yup. Zhao Liang nodded. I heard she took sick leave or something. But she looked awful when she came back a couple of days ago. I heard that the director himself advised her to rest for a few more days, though she refused to do so. A pensive look flashed across Tang Xiu's eyes. Falling ill for Han Qinggu was nearly impossible given her physical condition. After all, she had become a cultivator and her power was by no means weak. Such a bad complexion meant only one thing, she had been injured. Who could have injured her? With various thoughts swirling in his mind, Tang Xiu bade farewell to Zhao Liang and left the dormitory building. As he strolled through the forest path on the campus, Tang Xiu then called Han Qingwu's cell number. Where are you? You're back. Where are you now? Han Qingwu was silent for a while before slowly replying, at the canteen. I'll be waiting for you at the campus gate, said Tang Xiu. He hung up and walked straight outside the campus. He had 2 main purposes before coming to Shanghai, one of which was to report back to the campus and the other was to probe and confront Han Qingwu. He had now determined that Han Qingwu was Xue Qingqing's reincarnation, yet he still needed to figure out whether she had completely restored her memory. He couldn't determine it before obtaining the Violet Fairy. But now was a different story since the appearance of the Violet Fairy gave him a way out to do so. Ring, ring, ring. His cell phone's ringtone sounded, and Tang Xiu looked at the caller's name on the screen. It was unexpectedly Chen Zhizhong. Is there something up, Zhizhong? I'm now at the entrance of Shanghai University, Master, said Chen Zhizhong with a respectful voice. I stopped by at the Blue Star Villa complex to find you, but I heard you went to campus, so here I came. Is it convenient for you to meet me now? What are you in Shanghai for, though? Asked Tang Xiu. There's something very important I need to report to you, Master, answered Chen Zhizhong. I also want to consult some cultivation aspects with you. All right. Wait at the campus gate, I'll catch up with you soon, said Tang Xiu. After hanging up, he then continued heading toward the campus gate. He knew that Chen Zhizhong would never come to Shanghai should he have no important things to consult with him. Chen Zhizhong was his disciple, though he was just an in-name disciple, he still needed to guide him in his cultivation path. When Tang Xiu walked out of the campus gate, the previous few luxurious supercars that were parked outside the gate had disappeared along with those silk pants young masters. There were a black Mercedes-Benz parked there now, and Chen Zhizhong was standing in front of that car, waiting for him. Zhizhong. Tang Xiu called as he came over. He found that Chen Zhizhong's cultivation had advanced to the foundation establishment stage, more so that he had reached the late stage and was only a step away from reaching the golden core stage. Did I disturb you, Master? Asked Chen Zhizhong after respectfully bowed. It's all right. I was just coming out when you called me. Tell me, what important things you want to tell me, asked Tang Xiu. Chen Zhizhong looked around. After seeing that no one around paying attention to them, he whispered, a senior executive in my company recently heard that some herbs with psychic property were found in the depths of Songbai Mountain, so I took someone and secretly went there. We eventually found nothing there. There was no soul psyche herb, but a mysterious cave instead. What did you find in that cave? Asked Tang Xiu. We did everything we could to open the portal of that cave, but it didn't budge at all, answered Chen Zhizhong with a bitter smile. But we found a few precious ores at the entrance instead. Having said that, he immediately opened the Mercedes-Benz's trunk, pulling out a lock combination silver suitcase from the inside and returned back to Tang Xiu. He then put the silver suitcase on the car's hood, entering some numbers and opened it as he spoke to Tang Xiu. These are the ores I told you about, Master. I've browsed through a lot of records and finally figured out that these ores are called blood soul stones. As recorded, this blood soul stone was put into the dissected body of a living person. If that person didn't die and the stone has been stored in that person's body for at least 10 years, it will solidify. After hundreds or thousands of years, it ultimately turned into a blood soul stone. As recorded in the ancient records, this blood soul stone has a function to calm or suppress souls. Tang Xiu calmly grabbed a piece and carefully observed it. After some careful observation, he sighed. This is indeed a blood soul stone, though I never expected for this object to also exist on Earth. You're right. Blood soul stone is a very precious ore, and it's also very rare, an extremely precious gem for cultivators. You know how to use it, Master? Asked Chen Zhizhong. I do. Tang Xiu nodded. A pleasantly surprised look appeared on his face, then Chen Zhizhong said again, since you said that it's an extremely precious gem, it means that there are definitely some things better in that cave, Master. This is also the reason why I came here to report it to you. Light flashed across Tang Xiu's eyes. He was well aware of Chen Zhizhong's meaning. For an excellent object such as blood soul stone to be found outside that cave, it was very likely that there were more good findings to be expected inside it. If they could find more good things for cultivators there, then he had made a great contribution. Stay in Shanghai for some time first, Zhizhong. I still have some things to do here, then I'll immediately contact you after I'm done and we'll set off to Changbai Mountain together, said Tang Xiu. I already plan to stay here for a while. I'm staying in the Hilton Hotel now, replied Chen Zhizhong respectfully. I'll text you my room number later then. Tang Xiu nodded in response. His eyes then saw Han Qingwu walking out from the campus gate and he spoke, "All right, you should go back first. I'll find you after I'm done with my things." "As you will it, master," replied Qin Jizhong as he boarded the car and quickly left. Tang Xiu then turned around and walked towards Han Qingwu. He looked at her in silence for a while before speaking, "There's a skating rink nearby. Let's have a chat there." "An ice skating rink?" For a while, Han Qingwu fell into silence. But she found Tang Xiu had turned around and led the way first. Despite hesitating, she followed him. She had no idea why Tang Xiu wanted her to go with him. But she had been preparing herself for more than a year, yet the days went by with a prayer that such a day would come later on. Shanghai was still burning hot even though it was already September. Noon was even the hottest time of the day lately. The ice skating rink was empty and there were only 2 employees with no guests. They looked bored and engaged in small talk while crunching melon seeds. "How much does it cost to rent the whole venue?" asked Tang Xiu directly after he came in front of the 2 employees. Upon hearing this, the 2 employees suddenly jolted. They looked at Tang Xiu and Han Qingwu, thinking that it was natural for some rich scion of a wealthy family to bring a belle over. One of them then immediately replied, "It's 3,000 yuan per hour. How long will you reserve the whole venue, though?" Tang Xiu took out his wallet and took out a stack of 100 yuan bills from inside. Then, he handed it over to the man and said, "Here are 5 grand for an hour. But I have one request. You can't stay here. We don't want to be disturbed." "No problem." The staff member took over the bills in surprise and happily pulled his colleague to leave quickly. Han Qingwu just watched Tang Xiu calmly and wordlessly. She knew that Tang Xiu was not the kind to waste money on a whim, even if he was so rich now. He must have his intentions to bring her here and fork out so much money. Yet, she could tell that his intention was very likely aimed at herself. Pun. 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 Tang Xiu's wrist moved and 3 silver needles were instantly shot at the same time, accurately hitting the CCTV cameras in 3 directions. Then, he turned to look at Han Qingwu and apathetically said, "Have you remembered everything now?" The question made Han Qingwu's heart tremble. However, she still put on a confused look on the outside and asked, "Pardon?" Tang Xiu let out a sneer and walked to the center of the ice rink. Then, his pace came to a halt and he said in a heavy voice, "You can hide it for a while, but not for a lifetime. If my guess is correct, it was you who helped me in Bangkok. And it was also you, the woman who appeared in the Pacific Ocean, wasn't it?" "I don't get what you mean." Han Qingwu shook her head. "So, are you now playing dumb?" Tang Xiu sneered. "Don't beat around the bush and speak straight if you got anything to say, Tang Xiu," said Han Qingwu. "I really have no idea why you have so much animosity towards me. Just tell me, what did I do to wrong you? I believe we can make it clear if it's a misunderstanding." Speaking out everything? Clearly? A faint pain plunged deep inside Tang Xiu's heart. It wasn't like he didn't want to make everything clear with Han Qingwu, but it was because he couldn't figure out whether she had restored all the memories of her previous life. Buzz. An oval container appeared in Tang Xiu's palm out of the blue as he shot a straight gaze at Han Qingwu's face. With an indifferent and apathetic face, he said, "I refined this thing myself in the past, the one thing I gave to someone who once had been my true love. You should have seen this before, shouldn't you?"